Should probably click myself in. What's going on, everybody? ABJ here from the ABJ Podcast. You're like, hey, I thought you quit. I did, and there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. I wish I can get into everything. I can't speak on everything, but it's been a crazy turn of events. I'm sure I'll get into it eventually here soon. They're doing the vlog stuff, so I'm sure it'll make it into the vlog. But yeah, it's been fucking nuts. Everyone who's been reaching out and supporting and saying kind words, thank you. It means a lot. But we're gonna keep grinding here. We're gonna keep at it, keep doing our thing. Today is 420, and I don't know if this is the best or worst guest for this date today. We'll talk about that in a moment. This is not a pro wrestling podcast, but I'm sure pro wrestling will sneak in. But before we get started, I want to thank to our sponsor. Elevation 1470 is reinventing the style by bringing traditional and nostalgic apparel to Frackville and the surrounding areas of School County, Pennsylvania. They pride themselves on hometown heritage and community, and Elevation 1470 is where the trail begins. And I would know because I walked about half of it the other day. You can find them at elevation1470.com for the latest traditional and nostalgic School County apparel. So that was a long walk, and except I didn't walk the trail, I walked the highway, and it was fucking terrifying. We're alive. I didn't die. I didn't get hit by a car. Links below for myself as well as my guest. If you want to grab some t-shirts, some merchandise, make donations, all that fun stuff is there. Do what you must, or you can do the free route and just hit share, like, and subscribe. It helps out more than you know. Without further ado, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because I'll butcher it, but I'm going to bring in my boy James, and this is my first international guest. Well, half international guest, half hometown hero, but we'll get into that as well. But let's have some fun here. What's going on, bud?
Hey, man. What's going on?
How do you pronounce your last name?
Kachnoskie. It's quite a difficult one.
Yeah, it's like you punched your keyboard 4 times, and then that's what you came up with.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was horrible. Like, imagine having to spell that out, like when you're like in kindergarten. Like I have patience. It's just like it goes on a diagonal. It's just such a difficult name.
Yeah,
couldn't have been easier. But
this is such a fun conversation and a fun podcast to do because we've known each other for a little bit of time and through friends and through the scene and everything like that. You used to be a dirty skook like the rest of us. I feel it's still in your heart and soul. And then you moved, and we haven't talked for a while. And then we had a conversation, and now you have an English accent. It's crazy.
I've relocated. Just a small trip over to the United Kingdom. Just a skip, hop, and a jump across the giant ocean. So it's kind of crazy. It's just a crazy thing. Like I lived in the Skook for about 8 years. I'm originally from Shamokin, Pennsylvania, so still coal region, born and bred through and through. So I ended up uprooting my entire life and moving across the pond to the UK with my wife.
Where in the UK are you? Where in the UK are you?
So it's called Crawley. So it's like 40 minutes south of London. So it's like southeast England, I think.
Okay.
It's tiny. It's just, I mean, compared to where we're from, I mean, I live in a big city. It's crazy. Like it's absolutely like it's such a culture shock. I thought I was gonna move over here and it was just gonna be so easy. I struggled the first 2 years I was here. I was depressed. It was a tough move. Everything's different. The language is different. It's just all of it. The food's different. Everything.
How
drive on the other side of the road.
Is the food awful?
Yeah, 100%. I hate it. But I imagine that's because the United States government probably pumped me full of all type of fake flavors and riboflavin and all kind of weird shit that nobody else in the world uses, but America's like, yeah, we're cool with it. It causes cancer, great. But like baby cancer.
Nobody wants to live here that long anyway, so cancer is probably an easier way out.
You guys are like, man, if I could just get involved in like a school shooting or cancer, I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's probably usually like a mass shooting or cancer is probably your 2 outs in America right now,
Yeah, I heard school shootings are on the rise, man. That's like what people ask me. Like top question. Oh, you're from America. School shootings. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, or just
What?
mass shootings in general. Just guns. There's guns everywhere.
Yeah, people like over here, they're like, so your police carry guns? I was like, oh yeah, they shoot people all the time.
Not even
Over
if they
here, they
need
have like
to.
a they have like a they have like a stick they carry around with them.
The only
They're
thing
like,
is over there is like stabbings are higher, right? Like people are getting
oh
poked all the
yeah,
time. Yeah, I think
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
rather get
yeah,
shot.
100%,
Yeah, 100% rather
100%.
get shot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Stabbing is so personal. It's like getting punched in the face. Like it's very violent. It's not
It
a
does a
fun thing.
lot of damage, like more
Yeah.
damage than a bullet sometimes.
Listen, I've seen videos of like these gangs up in London and like dude has like a machete and like
What? I'm not
yeah, just
coming
like
now. I'm changing my
just like
mind.
comes like rolling through and like chops this guy in like the chest. And I was like, yeah, yeah, shit happens though.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The
I
wild
ain't fucking with
stuff.
England. That England trip was looking cool, but now I'm terrified. I'm not coming. But real quick, another thing I want to ask there before we get into this, because we're gonna go on. These podcasts are like Tarantino movies. We just kind of jump all over the place and then find our way back to the original point.
Okay.
But
Amazing.
yeah, like in England, there's transportation everywhere. You can get on a train, you can get an Uber. Like they're like, from what I'm gathering, like you can just get in a train and be like, hey, I'm going to Liverpool for the day, and I'll be there in 3 hours. Or I can get in a train and be in Paris in two and a half. Like,
I mean, yeah. I mean, technically, yeah. Like, but I think like to go to like Liverpool, I think it's maybe more than 2 hours. But like
like
to
3 or 4, I heard. Like
just
it's like a 4-hour train ride.
yeah, I just took the Eurostar to Disney Paris with my wife
Yeah,
and kids, and it was like
and it
2
was
hours.
like a day trip, right?
Yeah, it was like 2 hours. You were there in
That's
2 hours, and
crazy.
then yeah,
It's
it is
nuts.
mentally yeah, it's crazy. Like next thing you know, like you're in Central Europe, just
Yeah.
there.
You could take a train, and with like the distance that it would take me to get to Philly, you can go
Yeah.
through 4 countries that all speak a different language.
Yeah, yeah,
What the
you end up
fuck is
going
that?
through yeah, you go like France, Germany,
Yeah.
Belgium, Brussels, yeah, you kinda like if you can even take the Eurostar up to like Amsterdam and stuff, like it's like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's
Super easy to
insane.
do.
That's
And
super
also, like
cool.
if you just wanna fly anywhere, so like I'm in Crawley and Gatwick Airport, London Gatwick Airport is right it's 5 minutes from where we
Mhm.
live. But you can get a flight from Gatwick to, like, Spain for, like, £40.
That's
So,
nuts.
that's, like, $50 or something like that?
That's nuts. No wonder
Yeah,
why
yeah,
you're
so you could go to,
more
like, Spain or
cultured,
you could
like,
go to,
we're
like,
just trapped
Italy.
here. We're trapped. We're trapped in the freest country of all time.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, in America, you have the freedom to just, like if you wanna go to a different place that seems, like, beachy, you go to Florida or you go to South Carolina or you go to you know what I mean? You go to
Yeah.
places in the United States. You go to California. If you're feeling adventurous, you leave the country and go to Mexico, you know? But you
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's just weird. I try to figure it out, but I don't really understand it because it's like when you grow up there your whole life, like people are like, "Well, what, when did you get a passport?" And I was like, "I don't know, probably when I was like
30.
27." And they're like, "27?" I have a I listen, I have a 9-month-old that has a passport. Like,
Yeah.
they get them right here. They get them straight away right here, because 'cause they're going places. Plus,
Yeah, there's
also,
shit to
like, in
do.
America, like, you guys, you don't have vacation. You don't have any time to go anywhere. Like, they're
Nope.
like, "So, you gonna be at work for the rest of your life until you die?"
Vacation's like a weekend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, over here, I have 28 days of vacation to take. Like,
That's
straight away.
awesome.
Like, I
Yeah.
sign a contract, I'm employed, and they're like, "Okay, you have 28 days of holiday to take. When do you wanna take it?" And I'm like, "I don't know, that's a lot of days." The first time I
28
got a job like, when
We
I
would
first got a
die
job over
on
here
28 days of holiday or vacation.
w huh?
We would die in America if you gave us 28 days to go to another
You wouldn't know
place.
what to
We either go
do.
broke or we would die.
You'd use it all in one big clip. You'd be like, "Fuck it, I'm done. YOLO." Bam! Just blow it all out straight out the gate. 28 days, I ain't coming to work for a month. Fuck off.
Yeah, or I'm
But,
taking
like
every Monday off for the next 28
yeah.
Mondays.
Yeah, I'm taking a Monday off for until next year, guys. Sorry,
Yeah.
not gonna be there on
I'm not
Mondays
working Mondays ever again.
ever again. Yeah, like it was strange. Like the
Every
first time I
football
got hired.
season for every Monday during
Yeah,
football season.
yeah.
I'm not working.
Every Monday night football game or every Sunday, you just take off.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first got it, and I was just like, they were like, okay, so just let us know when you want to take some days, and I'm like, okay. I like came home and like looked at my wife, and I was like, I have 28 days of holiday. I don't really know what to do. And she was like, "We just have to take some." And I was like, "But when? For what?" She was like, "I don't know. We'll plan something." I was like, "What?" Yeah, shock to the
So
system.
we're here to promote a podcast you're doing.
Yes,
Let's
you
talk about
are.
that a little bit. Yeah.
It's a great day to promote 420, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Addictively
Yeah.
speaking podcast. Don't do drugs, kids. They're bad. Um, I mean,
Or
or I mean, see, I'd be one of those people who would get into the argument of
responsibly.
weed is not. I don't technically. I wouldn't say that's. But I mean,
California sober.
that. I mean, yeah, yeah. I don't think. I don't know. I don't believe it. I just think it's. I've read too much about marijuana and stuff and how it's been. They made it this way. They criminalized it and they made it so it's like, ooh, marijuana. But I don't know. I just don't take it
As
that
someone
serious.
who really, really likes to drink and who used to also like to drink with pain pills,
Ooh,
since switching to marijuana, I don't drink as much, and I haven't touched a pain pill in about a year or 2 years.
yeah, that's a dangerous life to live, taking
Yeah.
the drinking and pain pills, man.
Yeah,
That's
not
a
good for your
scary
liver and
place to
kidneys.
be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lost memories going on somewhere there where you were like,
Yeah. It's
don't know
time
what happened
travel.
there.
I feel like Marty McFly.
So I'm traveling. You wake up like 4 days later and you're like, shit, where are
Yeah,
my pants?
been there.
Yeah, so basically, I started the Addictively Speaking podcast. Just I toyed around with the idea of podcasting for years because like I saw you doing it, and I was like, man, how do you even like go
If this
about
schmuck can
it?
do it, I
And
can do it.
yeah, no, I just thought like like I didn't even know where to start, so I just kind of like when you're like afraid to do something, you're just like, oh, I can't do that. That'd be silly. Nobody will listen. It'll be a waste of my time. Like I just, I kept being negative about it. And then finally I just said, you know what? I just want to do it. I just want to do it. I just want to talk about addiction and recovery and how, I've changed my life and like you can change your life if you're struggling with these things, if you're struggling with mental health. I mean, there are ways to get help. I mean, all of it. I mean, it encompasses all of it because people that suffer from addiction usually have, they suffer from depression and anxiety and some type of other traumas in their life that they've gone through that they can't really, they haven't found the help for it and they just use substances to numb and dull and to take away pain,
Yeah.
to fill a void. It fills a void in
And
them.
I'm
And
very,
then
very happy and proud of where I come from. I love my area, but also this area is a cesspool for addiction.
yeah,
Because really, like, the only thing and this is kinda like, I'm not shitting on the area, but there's really nothing for kids to do. And the only thing for kids to do is look up to the adults, and the only thing the adults do are go to bars and drink, and then go to block parties, and everything is
true.
based around drinking. We will put in 14 new bars before they put in one thing for a kid to do, or a business that can have. And even if you do put in a business, it's like, well, can you drink? You know what I mean? Like, it is a very big part of the culture in our area.
Yeah,
And
and I
it's kinda
think
like
like
the only thing kids look forward to is like, "Can't wait to go to a bar." Like, I remember being a kid being like, "Bro, I can't wait to go to a bar. Like,
yeah,
that
I can't
looks
wait till I turn
sick."
21. I'm gonna ruin
Yeah.
my life.
Yeah,
The
I
day
can't
I
wait till
turn 21, that's it.
and then you're like, "Wait, we can drink now, just don't get caught." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's kinda that's the mind state of this area.
Yeah, and I think, growing up in that, when when I did start drinking, I did start drinking young. I think I was like 13 years old. You know, when you experiment, you start drinking, you start stealing stuff
Mm-hmm.
from your parents and blah, 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 blah. You know, you do the whole thing, right? And then as I got older, um, I had periods where I drank a lot and then I stopped. And then I had I had a tragedy. I had a best friend passed away. Tragic. I was 21 at the time. I couldn't handle it. I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know how to cope with it. I didn't know how to deal with it. I ended up in a deep depression, you know, and I used alcohol to cope. I used it to deal with everything. And then it just spirals out of control. And then I'm not in control anymore. And I don't have my own thoughts. I just have to, and I'm in this endless cycle. I'm in Shamokin and I'm in a region where, you know, nobody looks at what I'm doing and goes, yeah, he should probably get help, or he should look to, I mean, sort his life out. Like, people were just happy to see you crash and burn because they were basically doing the same thing. I had a party house that everybody came to. I mean, I was an absolute savage. Like, I was
Mm-hmm.
fighting people. I would just do crazy shit. I'd hop in a car and drive. I ran over a stop sign like a block, like I around the corner from the place I lived. I drove up the street, clipped a stop sign, knocked my mirror off, and then parked the car, and then walked drunk all the way to where I needed to go to. But I chose to get in that vehicle and drive, which is a crazy bit
Yeah,
because I was like,
it's terrifying.
I was in no state. I was not. I was like, most people drink, and some people like can drink and have a couple and be cool.
That's
You
me.
know,
I'm a get to that level and then chill the rest of the night.
yeah, you know where you're at. You know that level.
Yeah,
I'm the guy who sees that level, says, "Fuck that level, next level." Then when that
yeah.
next level comes, I'm like, "Next level." Then the next level comes, and the next level, and then I wake up somewhere and I don't know how I got there. And
I wake up the next day feeling like trash. I'm like, I'm never going to that level again.
yeah, yeah, I wake up the next day and go, "Well, that was interesting. I need a drink." Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I have a really big problem with I like getting in recovery. I've learned a lot about myself and who I am and the things that work in my mind. And I get very obsessive, and I kind of, I don't know how to do moderation. I don't do it with food. I struggle with it in everything, every aspect of my life. If I have to try to moderate something, I can either do all of it, like, at a crazy level, or have to do none of it. It's
That's me with
really like this.
podcasting. All or
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
Don't need
So
to
yeah, but
sleep.
the thing is, like, I get into this and then I like obsess over things that I'm doing with it, and then I'm thinking like, oh, I need to be doing this, and I get
That's
going
why I
in my
told you that
head.
mess. I'm like, be careful. Like,
It is, and it's part of my
yeah.
personality. So it's really hard to, like, I have to fight back these urges to be like fully engulfed in it. And I took a lot of what you said to heart as well. Like thought about it and was like, you know what, he's right. I need to just kind of like relax and stop like fussing over like
Yeah.
numbers and view and all this stuff
I
that
had
goes
I had
along
about
with
300
promoting it.
people send me messages and hearts and hug emojis about me quitting podcasting. There's 3 people watching right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be
That's
a
the beauty.
dick, but like
That's the beauty of it.
everybody wants to be there when you're down, but when you pick yourself up, I got 3 people chilling. You
Yeah,
know what
they're
I'm
like,
saying?
yeah. They're like, oh yeah, I'll watch it later. I'll watch it later.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
and I
watch a
know
lot
it
of
is
long
one of those
I don't
things.
watch podcasts, but have you listened to Rogan? You're like, "Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Thanks."
yeah, yeah. Have you seen the Logan Paul Impulsive?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen
Yeah,
it, right? Yeah, yeah. All
yeah.
right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's the funny thing, is that you get into this and you think like, oh, I'll do it. I don't care if anybody listens. But you care. You do. You get kind
Yeah,
of
of
like,
course,
you're looking
if
at
you're
things.
creating something, you wanna be heard. You want, you know,
Yeah, and
to
I
be
think the
yeah.
thing is, I've gotten tons of like really nice messages as well, like with the stuff I've created, and people think like, it's a wonderful thing that I'm doing, and I'm trying to help and stuff like that. And that was ultimately the goal, is to,
Mhm.
hopefully share my experiences, share some of the things I've learned, um, while I've been in recovery and stuff like that, and like just give people um hope, because a lot of these people, like, when you're in addiction, you don't have any hope. I mean,
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't mean shit to anybody, you know?
And you
I felt
were
like I was
I don't
worthless.
know the forefront. I don't want to say what you were the forefront, but to me you were, because you were essentially the person who was pushing the brand the most. So I don't want to give all the credit to you unless you know more about it than I can, but I want to bring it up here. But you started a little bit of or you were part of a program, or started, I'm not sure what it was, but you were doing a little bit of a podcasting deal, but more or less like speaking out about it, recovery and addiction, with Skook Recovers in the area as well.
Yeah, that's where it all kind of really started. Like I got involved in the Skook Recovers because it was local community thing, and
Is it
actually
still a
the
thing?
I I can't get a
I
hold
don't
of
see
Travis, so
any
I have no idea.
I don't see anything about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Trav would get into it and he would just go crazy and do like a whole bunch of stuff at one time, and it was hard to kind of like get him focused on one thing. So he kind of like branch out and do like a whole bunch of other stuff as well.
Mhm.
But the Skook Recovers was like the big. That's what because I know Trav for a long time, and we kind of got sober around the same time. So he was like, "Do you want to come and do the Skook Recover? I started this thing, Skook Recovers," and I was like, "Oh yeah, what is it?" So then I kind of got involved in that, and so we did a lot of stuff in the Schuylkill County area. We did Drug Awareness Day in Upper Dauphin. I did that twice, I think, and then we did another one at another school, and I can't remember where it was offhand. But we did a lot. I did a lot of speaking engagements with them, like just sharing. There's nothing harder than sitting in a room full of 10th graders thinking they probably think we're all a bunch of fucking junkie idiots, alcoholic dickheads, you know. And but I did it and I loved it. It was great. And he also did a lot of live streaming, and he built a studio.
Mhm.
He had this crazy barn out in Higgins, and he turned it into this crazy like multimedia studio. He had like 5 screens up, and he had all the stuff. It was crazy. And we did a couple podcasts there. But yeah, he just never like stuck with it. And then,
It's hard.
obviously I moved, and I don't know what happened really with the Skook Recovers, but it was great at the time because they were doing a lot of stuff in the community. They were doing a lot of community cleaning projects. They were doing I know they did a couple playground refurbishments where, I mean, Trav was very crafty, got all the materials, and you know did the whole thing for the township or whatever it was. He would do the whole thing up for him, paint it. It was amazing. I helped him with a couple of those cleanups.
Yeah, I remember you were very good with carrying that brand and making it being seen. I just got what I mean. I do remember now, Travis. I think like as you were saying him and talking about him, I do remember seeing him on there a lot too. But yeah, it's I don't know if it's like maybe just not in my algorithms anymore, or he's still doing it. I have to do a little more research, but dude, I remember that being a big thing. What was uh what was the main like factor, or what was the moment where you're like, I need to clean up, I need to figure this out, I need to stop my process, or what I'm doing?
Yes, like that moment of clarity, that moment where I figured it all out. Yeah. So basically, I
Or
was
you
living in
became
Pottsville.
self-aware that like this is the steps I'm going to take?
So I've been living in Pottsville, on Mahantongo Street, in like a basement apartment. It was horrible. It was like living in hell. It was exactly where you would go if you were depressed and felt like shit. It was dark all the time. There was like one window, and all I could see was like a part of the street above. So there was like no natural. It was dark. It was crappy. I was in there, and I basically just lived my life for like every Thursday, Friday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I would just go ape shit. I'd go to Trippin on Thursday, get fucked up.
RIP.
Sometimes end up in a holding cell. Not gonna lie, they took me there a couple times. Yeah, I got myself in all type of shit. And it was going on for a while, and I just felt like I'm just throwing my life away. What am I doing? I started to just kind of like, I just didn't know what I was doing with myself. And I met a girl and she had a kid. She had a 2-year-old. And I was like, how, how would I ever be a role model to this kid? I'm a fucking drunk. I drink all the time. So
Mhm.
it took a while. I was still drinking when I was with her for a while. Um, Not as bad. And I wouldn't go out and get myself in too much trouble, but I would kind of go overboard. I'd get really, really fucked up. And then it was like we went out on New Year's and we went to my buddies in Maryland. And I used to go there every year on New Year's Eve and get absolutely trashed because you would pay like $60 and it was like all you could eat and drink all night. Horrible for me because I was drinking like Long Island iced teas in tiny cups and just I was drinking them like shooters. Drank
Yeah.
about 15 of them. So I ended up being really horribly drunk that night and throwing up all over my buddy's house, which is, nice when you invite a friend over. It's just to throw up all
Yeah,
over
you
their shit.
just
And then,
become that guy. You're
drag
like,
my
man, I have to fucking babysit him every time he drinks. Yeah.
yeah, and Matt and my buddy Matt knew me, and he says his quote was, "I'm the only 3 people to ever throw up in his vehicle." I threw up in his vehicle 3 times. The one time,
I'd be so
have you ever
pissed.
been
That's my
so drunk
biggest
that you
fear.
can't
Please don't puke in my car.
listen? I couldn't figure out how to use a push button window. I couldn't roll it down. I couldn't figure it out. I was like sat there and I just kept like pounding his thing, and he was like, "Roll the fucking window down." And I was like, and just threw up all over the side of it. And he was like, "I fucking hate you." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Cool." So anyway, back to the story. I was absolutely horrible. They had to drag me out of the bathroom and like they basically had to babysit me. I woke up the next day and we were supposed to go do something um, in Baltimore, and I couldn't do anything. Couldn't move. Felt like shit. Kept throwing up. So we ended up coming home, and it was a long 2-hour drive of pulling over and me vomiting the whole way home. So I got home, and I think it was like 2 weeks later. It was probably about mid January. It was like a Wednesday night. I don't know why I remember this, but it was like a Wednesday night, and I had a whole bottle of coconut rum. I just kept mixing it with pineapple juice on a Wednesday night. I was at this girl's house, and we put her son to bed, and I finished the whole fifth by myself. I went to sleep,
Jeez.
and I woke up the next day. I felt like shit. I was like, "Why the fuck did I do that on a Wednesday night? Like, what am I doing? How could I ever be a father? How could I ever be, responsible for another person's life? Like, I suck." So I just took the day and I was like, I just remember like I think I messaged her and I was like, I'm gonna quit drinking. How do you feel about that? And she was like, "Yeah, that's great." I was like, "Okay, I'm done." And then I remember I because I have a thing that comes up on Facebook every year where I posted I'm giving up drinking, blah blah blah, and I posted it. And that was it. I just stopped. I didn't go to any meetings, I didn't do anything. I just stopped in that moment, which is crazy because that doesn't usually work for a lot of people. I mean, most people have to go and do treatment and 12 step and stuff like that. But I went to a 12 step before and I
Well,
hated
how
it.
many people also go to those programs and those steps, and it's almost like it's almost forced upon them, or it's an ultimatum for them to do so,
Yeah.
where you are kind of like self-aware, like, no, I think I'm done here.
Yeah. I think I got to the point where I was like, this needs to stop now. I chalk it up to I thought about my life and I thought like I'll never have anything of my own that I'll be able to love. I'll never be able to be somebody's husband. I'll never be able to be a father to children. I won't be able to do it. I won't be able to keep a job long enough to support somebody like that. I won't have a life. The quality of my life was kind of what was pushing me in that direction of like this is this has got to stop. Like
Mm.
I think I was 30, 31 or 30, 31, 31 when I said this has got to stop. So it took a long time to get there, but finally got to that crossroad and said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
It'll
that's
kill
fucking
me.
crazy, man. That was the thing too, is like, or when I would like, go out and party and drink with friends, it's like I liked to drink, right? But I always like, all right, well, one of us has to stop here because nobody else is, or we're never getting home. So then it
Yeah.
became like I didn't drink as much because I knew everybody else around me wasn't going to chill, and we were all
Yeah.
got in a
Nobody's going
vehicle
to
and
stop.
drove. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it was like, so I can have 2 or 3 beers at a place and be fine, only because that's kind of how I taught myself how to drink, because it was like I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying is like I know my limit, if that makes sense. And it's just like,
Yeah.
because I just got to the point where it was like I don't even like drinking with people who drink excessively, because it's like I don't want to babysit you. Like you're an idiot right now. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
tough. It's a tough fucking thing.
And
Um,
in that in that region, that's like what happens.
Yeah, Eric,
I
Eric,
mean,
another one,
that's like,
professional wrestler, straight edge, but he was a big drinker for a while too. But
oh,
he
really?
comes out and hangs out with us. He's completely sober, and he stopped a long time ago and hasn't touched it since.
That's it. It's tough. It's tough to do it on your own. It's tough to just stop. But I mean, it was probably the best thing I mean, it was the greatest thing I've ever done for myself. Like I single-handedly in that moment changed the entire course of my life. I mean, and that's period. Bottom line. It changed
Hmm.
everything. It changed everything. The
And then
opportunities that are
you went and
presented to me.
you went and then got into like jujitsu, start doing
Yeah,
that for a while,
jujitsu,
like.
doing MMA, yeah.
Mhm.
But that was more because, like, I was always in bar fights and shit, and I was always, I had my nose broke like 3 times in like 2 months. Like, I black eyes, like swollen shut. Like, I put people in the hospital. I had a lot of charges against me because I was fighting people all the time. Yeah. So I thought to myself, when I started to get clean, I thought, if you really think you're that fucking tough, go do what tough people do. Go get in the gym. And I remember going to a gym. I went to a gym in Shamokin. Um, it was a elite performance combat club, and I went in there and got absolutely housed by a guy that was, I don't know, maybe like 130 pounds. I was about 230 at the time, 230 pounds, and he absolutely beat the snot out of me. We were boxing. He just beat the shit out of me. We did some jujitsu. I mean, yeah, he just did whatever he wanted. I was in triangle chokes. I was in Kimuras, Americanas. He was just doing all type of naughty shit to me. And I was like, how the fuck can I was like picking him up and trying to toss him off of me, and he would just he'd end up on my back and be like rear naked choking me. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then after that, I thought, I need to do this. This is fucking amazing. And I don't know why, because I was just getting beat up, like constantly getting beat up. You just go in the gym, the guy
Get your
who's
ass kicked for 2 hours and leave.
yeah, like the guy whose gym it was, his name was Chris Pfeiffer. He was he looked like a fucking grizzly bear, man. He was like 350 pound
Pfeiffer, isn't
black
he a
belt.
boxer? He was a boxer, right?
Uh, don't know if he was a boxer. He did do some boxing and stuff, but he was like a giant grizzly bear, and he just literally would take you and just he would. I hear things in my body popping that I didn't. They probably shouldn't have popped. He just housed me up every single day until you start learning, and then you start getting better, and you start learning positions and you know how to get out of things and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed jujitsu. I did it for a long time. I did it for a long time in my recovery, and it was probably a huge focal point because it kind of kept me, centered. It kept me out of trouble. It kept me focused on things. And like, you don't want to go out and get into fights if you know you can fight, or if you know you can handle yourself, or if you've been in a situation like in a gym where you're boxing with people and I'm getting smacked in the face and, throwing hands with other guys that are, you know, quite good with their hands. So I don't want to go out and get any trouble. I don't want to cause any trouble. Just
Mhm.
want to do my thing and just be left alone. And it's very humbling too to feel like you're a really big guy and then get tossed around by a guy who's like half your size, it kind of brings you down a peg where you're just like, all right, well, I didn't go how I thought it would go. Walk in there like Billy Badass, and then you walk out, and I'm like, my fucking shoulder hurts, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
oh
ain't shit.
man, yeah. So
Tomboy.
then I just kept going back. I kept going back for a long
Do
time.
you still train over in the UK?
It's just, I mean, I'd love to. Oh God, I'd love to. I mean, but it's just with work and kids, it's just trying to figure out the time to do any of that is
Yeah.
impossible. And most of the time, the classes are in the evenings, and it's just really hard because I have to get up for work. I work super early in the morning. I'm up at like 2:30 in the morning to go to work. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just, I don't know. I wish it could be possible because I'd love to get back into it. But I have my gi and I have all my stuff here. I have my boxing gloves.
Just
And
become a
stuff
pro
like that.
wrestler.
Huh?
Just be a pro wrestler.
Oh man. Back in the day, I thought that's what I wanted to do. Because we used to backyard wrestle. Because I mean, it's exactly what you should be doing. And I grew up in the Attitude Era, so I instantly, you know, that stuff, those moments were like, this is it. Like this hat right here that this says the crew. This is a crew hat. This was like Death Row Records meets the NWO. This was like my fusion of like the things I love, like hip hop music and WWE factions, like DX and stuff like that. Me and my best friend.
Wrestling's back to that. It's nothing but factions now everywhere in every company.
Yeah,
like, factions are a thing again.
Yeah, but they're not as cool as they were back then. I mean,
there's some cool factions right now.
Like
the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club's pretty cool.
Well,
I mean, they're not as cool as they once were, but like they're kind of like the elite now. Judgment Day is kind of cool. The Bloodline is cool.
Yeah, Bloodline is cool. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
but it is one of those things.
How do you not look at Rhea Ripley and be like, anything she's a part of, I think is the coolest thing ever. She's like a hot Australian goth chick. Sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah. She looks like she would like
she'd kill you. She'd look like she'd kill you.
She'd hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah.
She'd hurt you.
I think I'd be all right with it. I'd be all right with it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so it's just, one of those things. Like I used to love it. I love wrestling. I love backyard wrestling.
I'll get you back into it. I'm telling you. I'm gonna slowly sneak up. You're gonna be watching it on Wednesdays again, and
oh yeah, what the problem is? It's always on so late here. I have a bunch of AEW on record and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I record the Dynamite and stuff because that's what's usually on over here, or it's at least on what I had like on my Sky. I can get it because for some reason WWE every couple of years they switch to a different provider, so they're on BT, which is a service provider over here. But they were on Sky before, and I used to watch that all the time. But I can't get it now. So I got.
Thank you, Hangover. Appreciate you. Some people in the chat. I have a question here. Going through your recovery process, when you decided you weren't going to drink anymore. Now, I'm trying to put it in perspective for people maybe who don't live in this area, but that's essentially like saying if I don't want to drink anymore, like that cuts out 95% of your social life,
all the things you do,
because there's nothing else to do. Your friend, like if you want to go hang out with your friends, they're going to a bar. If you go to a restaurant, it's 9 times out of 10 a restaurant with a bar in it. Like everything, there's alcohol involved. Yeah,
everything. All of it.
So did you lose friendships? Were friendships hard to maintain? Like how was that process? Like drinking is hard enough, but being social, especially when you're in a depressive state and your depressive state's then crutched by the drinking, but then maybe the only thing that makes you happy is being with people you care about. Like, how do you juggle all that?
So basically, like getting sober it's great because you find yourself again, like who you were before. And I kind of just was like, I think I was on a high for like the first couple of years of being like sober. I kind of was just thrilled that I had, achieved these goals and I got clean. It was tough though because I wanted because obviously I had to tell my friends, and I was just like, I messaged all of them individually and I was like, hey, listen, man, I'm gonna quit drinking. And they were all like super supportive. And I was like, Okay, cool, great,
which is
wonderful.
cool because back in the day, be like, stop being a pussy, bro.
Yeah.
Other
But you
words
know
would have been
what? I
used, but we
think
don't we
too.
don't
I
use those
think
words anymore.
I think the thing is, um, when I lived in Shamokin, I think it was more toxic of a more toxic environment. I was involved in a lot of things that weren't great for me. And I
Hmm.
think the people that I associated myself with also, that I aligned myself with, were doing the same things in such a drastically negative manner that if I would have stayed there, I think I would have probably struggled and probably wouldn't have been able to do as well as I did. But I think when I moved out of there and I moved up to Pottsville, I had friends up there, but I made like new friends and new like social circle. So I wasn't as deeply immersed in this negative drinking, but I was still struggling with my own shit. So it wasn't like everybody that was surrounding me was just pouring it down and just getting shitty all the time. Like I was the one getting shitty most of the time,
Hmm.
and maybe like one other person. But then when I said to like my close friends, I'm done, and they were like, they were like, oh okay.
You're probably like
They were
awesome.
they were like they were really supportive. They were supportive, and they were like, yeah, because I told them all, like I was like, listen, I was like, I know you guys don't think that I have a problem, but I do. Like, and you have to just respect the fact that I'm telling you that I have a problem. And like, if you respect me as a person and you respect me as a friend, then this shouldn't be an issue because this is my choice. And then you guys should just support me, if
Hmm.
you're my friends. And luckily enough, they were my friends. And they
Yeah,
said, you know what? If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And they've always been supportive of me.
that's
They've
awesome.
always had my back 100%. They tell me that they're, proud of me all the time for the stuff that I'm doing with the podcast. And, it's just, I'm lucky that I had a good core group of people, that telling them, showing them that my vulnerability and saying, I've realized I have something wrong with me,
Yeah,
please respect that as my friend, because they could have just been like, nah, fuck that, drink. But they didn't, which is great
yeah.
because it made life easier on me because it would have been tough. It is tough though, because everything is revolved around drinking. So I had a friend who DJ'd at Trippin' Billy's all the time. So if I wanted to hang out, I would have to go to Trippin' Billy's and hang out. So I'd find myself in a bar, sober. And I did it for a long time. Like I would go there and
I think a
hang
few
out and
times we
whatever.
hung out in bars, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I think we hung out in Strikers a couple times because of
Yeah.
bands that were playing there
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just one of those things that I felt like at the time I was strong enough to be able to do it. I think I struggle more now to go to places that are like where people are getting really drunk and stuff like that. I find it
Like
difficult.
socially drinking.
Yeah, it bothers me. It just I don't like to be in those situations. Like I don't like to be in situations like that because there's always this guy and he's always gonna be tough and he's gonna be bouncing around and bump into somebody and be like, "What the fuck's your problem?" I don't
I
want to be
hate that.
involved in that situation. I
You know
want to
what
be as
you know what
far away from that
that's not
as I
really
can.
the drinking scene anymore in School County. Like there's really I mean, maybe one or two places you go and you're like, oh, this is gonna turn into this. But like everywhere I go, it's vibes. It's just like chilling. You know what I mean? And you don't even have to be drinking to chill. I don't know. It's dope. Like tonight we're going to the Budwashers and Tony Deppin's brewery in
Oh yeah,
Pottsville, and we're having 420 wrestling trivia. So every piece of wrestling trivia is based on like weed wrestlers, like like
RVD.
some well, he's gonna be in there a lot. The
Yes,
Godfather, yeah,
RVD.
he has his own strain. And I may have made.
I don't doubt
I
it.
may have smoked weed with the Godfather one time. Um,
No, that's great.
yeah, yeah, in
That is
Hamburg.
great.
Uh, he not like a full session because I didn't want to die, but we, took a whack
Just
and
a little.
walk, gave a little hey, see you later. But yeah, now if speaking going back to the podcast here, if
Yeah.
someone has never listened, or if what do they expect when they tune into your podcast? What's the overall like? Because I know you do solo stuff where you just kind of talk and get thoughts out of your head, which is
Yeah.
amazing. I fucking suck at that. Like I just started doing a vlog and I'm trying to do that, and it's
Yeah,
so
well,
uncomfortable. It's not easy to do, and dude, I find I'm literally sitting on an episode right now that I'm starting to
yeah.
edit, and I'm like, I don't want to release this because I hate it, because I'm like, I don't. I'm so uncomfortable telling my personal stuff. Like, I made that post the other day, and I fucking hated it. Like, it's my biggest barrier I have to get over with myself.
Uh, I mean, basically, this like the solo stuff is just kind of like me talking about topics in recovery or in addiction, or I mean, anything that I really feel like I have a true like some understanding of, and um, maybe things that I feel like I could share with people who might, they might just benefit from hearing somebody else who's gone through it say
Mhm.
it out loud, because like with Alcoholics Anonymous and NA, it's all anonymous, and you have to go to these meetings, and you have to, you know, sit in these rooms and follow these 12 steps or whatever the case is. I just think recovery isn't the same for everybody. It's not a one size fits all. Everybody kind of gets clean their own way and they do things their own way. And I just think, sometimes like maybe things that I've gone through or things I've experienced might resonate with people, and that might, just help them to hear somebody else had gone through it, or somebody else had, they've come out the other side of it, to see what it's like on the other side, that you can build a life, that you can, you know, break these barriers and break these stigmas. You can set these goals, you can achieve these things. So that's more like the solo stuff that I'm going to do. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to like figure out like what else I want to tie into it. I did have some guests on, and I just think like as far as sobriety goes, like hearing people tell their stories, because it gives people a voice and it lets
Mhm.
them express, maybe things that they just want to just say, and I just think it's good for them in their recovery, and if they're willing to share, that their story might resonate with somebody, so it's just kind of things like
Absolutely.
that. So I'm looking into doing, a couple more interviews with people and trying to get people to share their stories. It's tough because people don't like to, it's tough to expose yourself and to say some things, or
Yeah.
it's things like saying that you thought
When
about
I
killing
first started,
yourself and stuff.
uh, interviews with everyday
It's tough
people,
stuff.
man, that's essentially what was like living in this area. I felt like, and I didn't. When I say this, I don't want it to come off as a negative, but I was like, man, I live in a gold mine of people stories and storytelling. Like, you go to a bar and you meet somebody, and
Yeah.
they've been through stuff. They're hurting, like they're trying to get over stuff, and they have incredible stories, but they don't think they matter to anybody. They don't think their story
Right.
is impactful. And I would sit in a bar with these people like, you know how fucking powerful your story is? And they're like, no. And I'm like, your story is insane. Like,
Yeah.
and if you had someone like, where I feel like that's kind of where I'm good at color commentary like with podcasting or with wrestling,
Yeah.
is I can hear your story and maybe paint a picture to it, and add something to it to make somebody else realize, like, holy shit, I didn't realize it was that deep. And then the guest is like, I didn't even know it was that deep. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
was doing interviews with everyday people, and then I was just like, I felt like I was cashing in on tragedy, and I didn't like that either. So I definitely know where you're coming from, where it's hard to get people to talk. And that's kind of where, like, this podcast is still open for that. Like, I know I do a ton of wrestling interviews, but I didn't make this the ABJ Wrestling Podcast. It's the ABJ Podcast. I'm just here. This is like, essentially, I want this to be as if I was writing a journal, and every chapter was a different, like, chapter 48 is you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is your story, and it could be anything. I'm very fortunate enough that I have a lot of people in the wrestling business who gravitated to this and listen to it and like it, and that's a good way for them to meet new wrestlers. But also, like, I like to sneak these in and people to be like, yo, I want to go check out his podcast and what he's doing. And
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a
yeah,
cool thing to do. And I think, with us doing this right now, I mean, it gives me exposure on your people, and you exposure on my people. And it's like, these stories do resonate, and you can, and I mean, I wouldn't say cashing in on tragedy, but it's like, I more look at the uplifting bits of what
yeah,
I've done. Because it is, I mean, there is a lot of tragedy, and there's a lot of shit that happened, a lot of bad things. And I feel, you know, my life now is more about putting more good out, because I feel like I did a lot of bad. Like I feel like for some reason I feel like karma. Like I believe in karma for some reason, that I feel like if I do more good because I did a lot of bad before, that if I do enough good now, that I'll balance it all out somewhere, and that I'll kind of like end on an even keel. Like I'll make it to
Mhm.
the middle somewhere where I can just do enough good, help enough people, and my struggle can be somebody's chance to save
It's like
themselves.
you ever watch the show My Name is Earl?
I've seen bits of it, yeah.
You should watch it, dude. Because I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm trying to like give back a little, like, you know what I mean. And I don't think I've done anything super bad, but I just also want to put out more positivity. But essentially, My Name is Earl is this guy who is a drunk and alcoholic and druggy, and he just was the worst human being ever. So he literally made a
Yeah.
list of every person he's ever done wrong to,
Oh, that
and
he
the
ever
whole premise
wronged,
of
and
the
then he
show
has
is
to.
him.
Yeah.
He's going back and trying to do something good for that person to get it off the list. But some of the people absolutely
Don't want it
fucking hate
done.
him because how
Yeah.
bad he was to them. So he's trying to prove to them that he's like
That he's
it's
changed.
it was a comedy show, but it was really fucking good. You should check it
I
out.
mean, I think that's one of the 12 steps, isn't it? To like go back and make amends. Like you have to go back
Yeah.
and, you know, make amends to people that you may have hurt in the past. I mean, you know, I don't do the 12-step thing, but I know that's probably, it's quite
Yeah.
cathartic too to kind of go back and try to repair or at least, fix some of the damage that you've done previously,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, we are coming up to the close to the end here, and if anyone in the chat has any questions or anything they want to put out, please do so before this is over. I just have one more little bit I want to talk about, not podcast related, is the trip, the journey, the move. How did this come about? How did you end up from Schuylkill County, Pottsville, Pennsylvania, to 15 minutes outside of London?
So basically we were living we did my wife and I got married. We did the visa. She moved to the United States. We lived in Schuylkill Haven for a
So
year
she
and a
was from
half.
the UK and then came to Pottsville, or came to our
Yeah,
area.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I met
Interesting.
her. So our story is it's insane to think about how I met her. So I met her. I was working at Strikers as a bouncer, right? On like the weekends, usually on the weekends, because I was working roofing as my day job. So I'd go and work roofing, and then I'd go bounce at Strikers, and they'd be like, "Yeah, he's not wrong. Making amends is one of the scariest bits of getting sober. It is like you're going to apologize to people that you did
Puked in
really
their car 4
dirty shit
times.
to,
Yeah.
huh?"
For puking in their car 4 times.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think I've ever made amends for that. I've just gotten sober and been like, I'm just not going to mention it again.
Yeah.
I'm
You
just
should
never,
like
I'm never.
send them a gift card for like a detailing job once a year. You know what I mean? Like this one's on me.
Yeah, or just like get in this car and just instantly vomit and be like, keeping the trend alive.
I'm sober and I did it.
I'm sober and I did it, bitch.
I realized
You're
this
like,
whole time it wasn't a drinking problem. I got car sick easy.
yeah, I just get car sick. Or, yeah. So I met my wife working at Strikers. They told me they were like, oh, in the summer we get these people, they're the internationals. And I was like, the what? They're like the internationals. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking
That's a
about.
school thing I
And
say.
all of
International.
a sudden, yeah, that's so either because you just know they have no idea how to put it all together. They're just like, they're
Yeah.
people from everywhere. And so this
Honestly,
big
it's like
yellow school.
our area just like in the past 15-20 years have just been more like, we'll just say more cultures have entered our area, but like it was hilarious. Like as someone who like I grew up in the hip hop community and like I try to culture myself, but like I
Yeah.
made friends with everybody, but just watching people in the area be like, there's people of color here now. Like it was like
Yeah.
you're saying the internationals, like like
Yeah.
hearing some of the things other people said, it's crazy. School County has come a long way.
It blows your mind. So this big
Yeah.
yellow school bus rolls up, right? And all these people get out, and I was like, "What in the fuck is this?" So all these girls and boys, they all come over and passports and everything. They're from all over, everywhere. I'm talking Australia, Jamaica, Germany, Denmark, Norway, all over. They're from everywhere. England, they're from everywhere. So I ended up bouncing there, and nobody would talk to me because I looked miserable. I'd been roofing all day and I looked miserable, and I had a mohawk and I looked angry. And there was a group of people from England. It was it was a guy from England, a South African, and then the two girls. And they were the only people that really talked to me for like the first 3 or 4 times that they came. They did this thing that's called Camp America. Apparently it's like a thing over here where people sign up and they go to camp and they do summer camps. So some of them are like summer camps for kids, some of them are like summer camps for adults with special needs. My wife was involved with the adults with special needs, and it was right outside of Pine Grove. The camp was in the woods. Nobody knew about it, never knew it existed. Probably been there for like 50 years, right? It was called Eagle Springs. So she was one of the only people to talk to me, and then we kind of hit it off and we started like talking, and she was teaching me like little like English slang, like things that people would say over here. And so,
I love English slang. It's my fucking favorite. We went to Vegas real quick. Sorry, Tarantino quick.
Sidebar.
It was me and Heidi in a bar in the MGM Grand, and we're with like 6 dudes, just me, Heidi, and 6 dudes. And they all look like fucking Captain America. They're all the most handsome. Like I thought for a second I was losing my wife. Like she was, and they all had English accents. Dude, it was like fucking drinking with 6 James Bonds. I had no shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and they're all Navy or something, like their version of the Navy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, mate, like what a birds at? And I was like, what, the birds? And no, they were talking about girls.
The girls,
I thought they meant actual birds.
Yeah. Your birds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strange ones.
Also, there's a 4-letter C word that me and my wife absolutely love, but it's so like not accepted here, but over there in like Australia,
it's literally it's like saying hello.
Yeah, I love it.
I heard my mother-in-law say it for the first time. I was like, oh. And she was like, what? I was like, she said the C word. She's like,
yeah.
Who cares? And I was like, I drop it all the time. I'm like, yep. Boom. C-bomb.
Love it.
What?
Such a great word.
Yeah. Oh man. They're
not really uptight about
cursing.
Yeah, they're not really uptight with cursing in the UK. Like in America, if you curse, you're diminished as a person. It's weird. Like, I don't know.
See, but the thing is though, like they have curse words that like you don't even understand, that don't make sense to you. Like bloody hell.
Yeah.
Like that's don't say bloody hell.
Really? That's like harsh?
Yes.
They say bloody hell on TV. Stewie says it every week on Family Guy.
Yeah, but over here it's like a swear, like because my wife might have said it in front of our son, and she was like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that," and I was like, "It's not that bad." Yeah, I'm dropping F-bombs like every 4 words.
Said cunt 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was like, I'm dropping C-bombs all over the house. What are we talking about? But yeah, it's weird like that. There's another one that's like this is a good one. So like you know how we say dick, right? You call somebody a dick. Bell end.
Oh, so I thought you were gonna say knob.
No, bell end.
Okay.
The end of a bell. A penis looks like the end of a bell. The tip of it.
Bell
dickhead.
End.
Call somebody a bell end.
I'm gonna do that tonight.
Yeah. Use it. Drop it. People just stare at you and be like,
yeah. Wank is funny. Wank's a good word. I think wank should become the. Yeah, I think just wanking or wank or anything with wank, any verbiage of wank is just fucking amazing. Yeah.
Fucking wankers.
Yeah, it's way better than like saying you're gonna jerk off. I think wank is better than
wank.
Jerk. Yeah.
Wank. Yeah.
I started watching this show like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was called The Misfits. It was on Hulu. And the premise of The Misfits was these kids were in like a Saturday detention. And but it was like almost like detention, but also like community service type deal. And it took place in the UK. And during their time there, like this eclipse happened and it gave them all superpowers. But it was like they were like normal kids who got superpowers, but like they were in the UK, so they use all that terminology. And it was a fucking amazing show. I loved it. It was so cool. Look, it's probably done and gone. The one guy from the show ended up going to, and he was in Umbrella Academy. I don't know if he's like a really big actor over in the UK, but he's really, really fucking talented. But yeah, that was another one I learned a lot of UK slang. Was that TV show?
UK slang it's on a different level, man. It's on a different level.
What was another one over there that like caught you off guard when you heard it? But now it's like second nature to you.
Yeah.
Did you ever hit him with a yo butt while you're over there?
Nah. They won't. They just stare at me.
Yeah, I
They'd
ain't
be
doing
like,
it.
yeah, I ain't bot. What you doing, bot?
Yeah.
Yeah, hit him with the 1-2 tree.
Yeah.
Did you say tree? Yeah, tree. You know, the number
Yeah.
tree.
Yeah. 462
like,
to fuck.
462 to fuck. They wouldn't even understand that. They'd be like,
No,
what does the fuck mean? It's a special
Yeah.
thing, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's just the language is just different. It's crazy.
I love
It
it.
is crazy.
I love that for you. So I don't know what's going on with this trip. But hopefully things work out, or hopefully we can cross paths and hang out again in person sometime soon. But I want to thank you so much for your time. Real quick, again, where can everyone find you and find the podcast besides the link tree below?
Yeah, the link tree's there. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of YouTube, everywhere. I said YouTube, I don't know. Everywhere. I'm on all social media platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google.
We gotta adjust some stuff on your link tree. I was looking at it. Go look at mine and look at the way my podcast thing is set up, and then I'll teach you how to do it. All right. I was looking at it, I was like, I can teach him something here. But thank you again, James. I love you to death, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep grinding.
Thank you, man.
You're doing awesome, man. You're getting some awesome numbers. You're killing me. You're dominating me when it comes to views.
No, come on, man. You put out tons of content. I haven't even put that much content out yet.
It's because I'm a psychopath. I have an addiction problem where I put everything into one thing. I don't know if it's an ADHD problem or something. It probably is.
Like obsessive compulsive, where you have to.
I block out the rest of the world, and this is the only thing that's important right now. And then everyone in the outside world's like, "Can I be important too?" And I'm like, "I'll figure it out."
Heidi's like, "Can we do something together?" And you're like, "Can we?"
Yeah, she's texting me now. She's like, I have to literally do something right as we speak. But I have to eat and then go do something with her and then go to that trivia thing. So it's crazy. This is the way my brain operates. But everyone, thank you so much for sticking with me. Sorry, with everything going on with the being done with it and not being done with it. I'm sure more will come out in a couple weeks of what transpired, and hopefully things in the future. All I will say is, if what I think is going to happen is going to happen, I will be getting a cool monetization version of making some money while doing this, but also using my platform to help people that I really, really want to help out in the wrestling business. And if this works out, it's literally a dream come true. So I hope things work the way they are. I don't want to put anything out there yet, because if I don't know where it stands, and I don't want to put things out there and ruin it. So just thank you guys so much for I'm trying, but thank you guys so much for hanging out and showing that support. I love you guys to death. James, thank you again. We will be back on Monday. I have Mr. Sam coming back that I canceled on last week due to the day my car broke down. I was like, man, I can't podcast. And he's like, come on, please. And I was like, bro, I'm a mental wreck right now. My eyes are puffy. I had a good cry. I can't podcast today. So I'm going to reschedule. We're going to do it Monday. So Mr. Sam will be back for episode 49 Monday. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to hit you 3 next week. Tuesday will be Kit Raff for episode 50. And then we will have Cosmic on 51 for Thursday. So, guys, thank you so much for sticking with me, the ABJ Podcast. Links below for myself as well as my guests. If you go get any merchandise or T-shirts or anything like that, take a picture of that shirt, send it to me so I can thank you in person on social media. And then people can see how cool you look in like a Gears Ice Tea hoodie. Stickers are on the way, by the way, too. So they're on their way. But we'll see you guys next time, ABJ Podcast. We're out of here.